as a mother, what's your biggest concern for each of your children as they approach adulthood?
For Kenny, I think my biggest challenge or concern, you said, is just how the world looks at kids or people with special needs, right? And sometimes they don't even look at you, they overlook you, right? Like they just don't even recognize or see. And it's just like, and I feel like for me, my eyes, I'm in healthcare, so I've always recognized it, but my eyes opened up more because I'm in living it, right? So I don't want people to do that for him because he has such a great personality, but people will never really get to know that if you're overlooking him or just saying, oh, he has special needs or something like that. For my daughter, it's more of the social emotional piece of it because she is a girl who's very emotional. And already at 9 years old, I'm like, yeah, this is a lot. I can't even imagine when you get to be a teenager. So just working on, the different things for both kids. So.
Are you ready for the...
Welcome back to Alec Money 365, and today I have my fabulous friend with me, Sabine Kale Sailor.
Thank you, P.
Welcome. So we know each other forever.
Forever.
Since high school.
Since 1999.
1999, really?
Yeah, that's when we started high school.
1999. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
You feel old, right?
We're still here.
We're still here.
We're not old.
No.
We're like wine.
Got some gray hair.
Wine. Well, what's that? We're age, right? Whatever.
Exactly.
So let me give you a bio because you've done so much in the transition from here to there. So let's say, Sabine Kale Sailor, married.
Yes.
Okay. Is the owner of Hope Through Healing Wellness Center, a psychiatry practice with holistic focus for treatment. Sabine has over 15 years of healthcare experience and currently practices as a, pronounce that word, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and nurse educator. Girl, a mouthful, I'm so proud of you. She's a proud first-generation Haitian, Asian American, I should say, Asian American, with her roots firmly established in Haitian culture. She's a loving wife, friend too, you're a loving friend too.
I know, I would say that.
Mother of twins, a son with cerebral palsy, active member of her sorority Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Inc.
Yes.
As a millennial, Sabine, like many others, is learning to balance her career. Good luck. I'm trying to find that too. Parenting in general, and parenting a child with special needs, entrepreneurship, and a dash of self-care.
Just a sprinkle.
That's a sprinkle.
Just a sprinkle.
Of self-care. So I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you, Pete, for having me. I appreciate it.
I know.
Excited.
I know. Every time we catch up, every time we see each other in passing, like, how you doing? Great. Yes. Yep. Good. So honestly, let's get to the question. What are some of the emotional challenges? Because, you mentioned that you're a child with special need. And especially in the immigrant community, we don't talk about it a lot. We kind of talk that side away because not, we don't want everything, our perception of a certain lifestyle. And not that we're showing for our children at all, not at all, but we kind of not talk about it, right?
No, you just kind of like people see and they're just making assumptions rather than just talking about what's going on.
So what were some of the emotional challenges in your conversation you had when you first learned about your son's diagnosis?
Well, I didn't accept it at first.
Of course not.
Yeah, I was like, no, absolutely not. So it was one of those things where I was just like, well, I'll just see what it turns out to be rather than accepting the diagnosis from the doctors. But I think in some ways I kind of hindered or prevented some of the things that he could have gotten earlier on because I didn't accept the diagnosis. I think in some, when it comes to the emotional challenges, there were a lot. Just the fact that you never planned to have a kid with special needs, right? You just wake up one day and say, I want a kid with special needs. It doesn't happen. It just kind of sprung itself on you and you just have to like roll with the punches. And that was difficult, but it's something that you have to just adapt and just make happen.
Yeah. So did you, what about your family? Were there a rally around you that said, don't listen to the doctor,
I got both, right? So initially when it happened, and I'll never forget this, right? I love my aunt. I love her. But she said to me, she's like, you know why this is happening, right? And this is in Creole, she said this, you know why this is happening, right? She said, because you had a baby out of wedlock. Mind you, we're still in the hospital. I'm literally still in the hospital bed and they're all around the bed and they're praying. She's like, because you had a baby out of wedlock and God is not happy. This is why it happened. I was like, okay. All right. So I know they're very, very strong in their faith. So I just learned to just disregard a lot of the things that they say. And, I've moved past that. But I did get family that did rally around us and supported us, but that kind of stuck with me for a little bit until I kind
you
of.
go through this emotional journey. First of all,
Yeah.
you just had a child. You didn't know this was going to happen.
No.
You're going through regular pregnancy, acceptable pregnancy, and then boom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how far along in pregnancy were you when you gave birth to your twins? By the way, we should mention twins. Yeah.
So I went up, and it was horrible the whole time. Like, I hated it. Some people love pregnancy and they're just like,
mine, but go on.
yeah, it was horrible. But I made it to 22 weeks, and I ended up going to the hospital at 22 weeks, and then they're like, yeah, you're going to stay here until, because you're in active labor, but you can't deliver until 23 weeks because most hospitals and most babies at that point, 22 weeks was the age of viability, which means that's when they can live. So they kind of gave me medications up until the point I can make it to 23, and I delivered them at 23 and 1. So it was a lot.
Wow. So how did this experience test your faith? Like, seriously, and what kind of strain did it put? Did it place on the relationship and the family and the friends and?
Yeah, it tested my faith a lot because I was like, well, I'm a nice person, God. Like, why would you do this to me? But it's not about who you're nice or whatever. Special needs or early labor. This can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are or whatnot. So again, something I had to learn and accept. And then strain on our relationship at that point was my fiance. Like, we had a lot of strain because he's working. I'm at the hospital basically 24/7.
Yourself.
Yeah, and both kids were in the NICU at that point. My son, he ended up staying in the NICU for 6 months. Nima ended up staying for 4 months. So at one point, she was coming back and forth to the hospital with me when she came home and he was still in the hospital. And then there was another point where he left CCMC and had to go to UConn. So for 2 months, he had to go there, and we were commuting back and forth from UConn, to home, and that was a lot too.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really spend a lot of time with him because I still had Nima with me, so it made it difficult.
Were you able to nurse? Or?
No.
No, you didn't get that experience either.
I got the experience, but I didn't have enough for both of them. So we did a lot of like donor milk or formula, and he needed special formula because he had a lot of GI issues and he couldn't eat for a long time. So he was getting fed like 1 cc an hour, which is one milliliter an hour because he ended up having a perforated bowel. He ended up having an ostomy and a lot of stuff, a lot of complications from the NICU.
Yeah.
He had all of them.
Did you work during this time? You couldn't possibly be working. I
I don't even remember this time, but no, I wasn't working. I really wasn't. I was in school though. I was in grad school because I started grad school while I was pregnant, and I was like, I'm going to finish this thing. So I made sure I'll be at the bedside and I'm doing my work on the computer and whatnot, but working, I couldn't do it.
So while you're going through back and forth to hospitals, you were still trying to
Submitting
study?
my papers at 11:59 p.m.
Or a true immigrant.
Yeah. I definitely was.
Where did that strength come from? Do you think because of your immigrant background? Like, how did you muster that up to be so determined, no matter what, you're going to still finish the school, take care of my baby, go back and forth, and I know the situation with your fiance, I know you had to stress and all that kind of stuff.
I just think naturally it just came from yes, being Haitian, we are very resilient people. We push through. But I also just saw my family, like they pushed through everything. So it was like there was no other option but to keep going and push forward. So I had a goal. I wanted to finish grad school. I wanted to get my master's in nursing. So I wasn't going to let this stop me. It was a hiccup, definitely, but it didn't stop me. So it's just something.
I tell people all the time, like, look, you have contributing factors and defining factors. Contributing factors shouldn't stop you.
Yeah.
These are things outside, of you. But, keep pushing through.
Yeah.
They don't determine who you are, how you should.
At some point, I thought I was a little crazy, though. I was like, maybe you should stop. Maybe you shouldn't be doing all of this. But it kept me busy, too. And I kind of needed my mind to stay busy just so that I didn't. Because I do have the medical background. When I did go to the NICU, it was almost like I was his nurse. Or I was their nurse rather than being their mom. So it kind of helped me take my mind off of things.
So how are you ensuring that your son is equipped for success in the real world in terms of education, career, and life goals? Because he's going to change. He's going to face uphill battles. So how do you try to prepare him for this world?
We don't baby him. When it comes to special needs kids, a lot of times people kind of do this like kitten gloves and handle him very gently. No, I treat him just like I treat my other kids. Because you know what? The world is never going to baby you. So it's like, I'm going to be your place of comfort, but I'm not going to baby you. So even though I know he has, different needs and challenges, and I don't have the same expectations for him for what his sister can do, but you're still going to do things. Like you're going to do your chores. You're going to make your bed. It might not be perfect. You're going to have wrinkles, but you're still going to go through the motions of it.
I feel like I'm hearing my mom.
Yeah. But you have to, though. Like, if you don't do that, I feel like I would be setting him up for failure if I didn't do that.
When I was in school, I was sick. My mom was like, okay, so you're going to school?
Yeah.
Are you dying?
Yeah.
No. Are you falling? No, then you go to school. It's
exactly.
Like, there was no excuse
Yeah.
for you not to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know? So
And I think that came from how I was raised, and I kind of put that on him. But I realized he has challenges and he has some deficits. I just kind of modify things for him.
nice.
With the education piece, though, that's a struggle. That's a really big struggle because we always try to make sure that when we're in a PPT meeting or in school, like, hey, don't look at Kendrick's diagnosis. Don't look at, if you look at him on paper, he looks bad on paper, right? He has all these diagnoses. He's been through so many different things. And recently we had a PPT and one of the people in the room was like, well, you have to be realistic with his diagnosis. I was like, well, we don't look at his diagnosis. Like, we look at him to see what he's able to do rather than putting a limit on him based on his diagnosis.
What's
So,
PPT?
I don't remember what that stands for, but it's the meeting that you have with all the members of the team for special needs kids or anyone who needs any type of accommodations. So we had the special education department, social work, all of his specials, which is physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. All of these people are in the room, and we come together and create goals and plans for him for his academics, because again, he's not going to meet regular third or fourth grade type of goals, so we modify his goals so that he can meet those.
So, as a person, we know each other, I know you held him back for
Yeah.
a year. And what was the determining factor for that?
He wasn't where he needed to be. And even with his challenges, he still wasn't where he needed to be. And with school, they were kind of like, well, we don't want to hold him back because socially, we want to keep him with his peers. And I'm like, this kid can make friends with a rock, okay? I don't care about his social needs right now. I need him to get to a point where he can actually do some reading, whether, basic reading or even counting. Like, he can do memorization, but he's not actually doing the computing or actually generalizing when it comes to reading. So we got a lot of pushback from that because nobody wants to leave kids behind, right? Because that's our school system. But we fought it.
Yeah, they don't know this Haitian mama.
They don't know. Okay, they don't know. So we fought it, and he did get to stay back in second grade. So he did 2 years of second grade. So now he's in third grade in a new school. So he has to. And the great thing about the new school, a lot of the kids came from the other school,
Yeah.
so they already know him. And again, socially, he's a butterfly. So he's already made plenty of friends with all the staff and everyone in the school. It's just the academic piece that we need to focus on.
Okay.
But we also do other things outside of school. We have one-on-one private tutoring for him. She's a special education teacher who focuses on reading. So we do that twice a week so that we can get him caught up where he needs to be.
Awesome. So as a mother, what's your biggest concern for each of your children as they approach adulthood?
For Kenny, I think my biggest challenge or concern, you said, is just how the world looks at kids or people with special needs, right? And sometimes they don't even look at you, they overlook you, right? Like, they just don't even recognize or
Most
see.
people just
Yeah,
overlook you.
and
Yeah.
it's just like, and I feel like for me, my eyes, I'm in healthcare, so I've always recognized it, but my eyes opened up more because I'm in living it, right? So I don't want people to do that for him because he has such a great personality, but people will never really get to know that if you're overlooking him or just saying, oh, he has special needs or something like that. For my daughter, it's more of the social emotional piece of it because she is a girl who's very emotional. And already at 9 years old, I'm like, yeah, this is a lot. I can't even imagine when you get to be a teenager. So just working on, the different things for both kids. So
as this is Islet Money, right? Let's talk about some money stuff.
Let's
what
talk about
financial
it.
considerations or concerns do you have about your son's future, and care? Because that's something you have to plan for, right?
yes. And I'm not doing a great job in that area. And I know I need to because I always think to myself, well, what if something happens to like me and my husband? Like, what's going to happen to him, right? And automatically like, well, his sister's going to take care of him. And I know we don't even have to force that on her. I know she's just going to do it. But we need to make sure that she's set up that if she does decide to take that over, she doesn't have to worry about him financially. I know that there's services out there in terms of like disability services, but they don't qualify for that until they turn 18, and they take into account your parents' income before you actually get approved for certain things. So that also there's a trust that you can do, a special needs trust that we worked on and getting that set up for him. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, but as long as you have somebody who can kind of guide you, who's been through the process or who's an expert in that, it really does help.
So do you have a special lawyer that you work
There's a
with?
special lawyer, yes, that we worked with to get the special needs trust put together.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. See, people, y'all learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money, Beanie. How do you describe your relationship with
Listen, I get anxiety with money, okay? So let me just start off there. Every time you say the word money, I get anxiety about it.
Why?
Because I like to spend it. I'm a shopper. And you know that.
I know that.
Because we work together
Yes.
in trying to, decrease my shopping and my spending.
Yeah.
So, yes, money talk and preparing for the future gives me anxiety. But a lot of people get anxiety when you talk about money.
What about is giving you anxiety though?
That I'm not prepared for it. I don't want to be that, 60-year-old, like, oh my gosh, I can't retire in 5 years because I don't have a retirement put together or whatnot. Yes, we have stuff, but I want to retire comfortably. I want to retire when I'm 40, but that's not realistic.
You're 40 now.
No, I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
I'm almost there.
Oh.
So I still have some time to plan for retirement.
Okay.
In 40.
It's never too late though. But
Yeah.
let's be honest, right? When it comes to money,
Yeah.
we're taught to work hard,
Yeah.
right? Especially as immigrant and children of the next first generation, we work really hard. Sometimes we have multiple jobs. You own a business, you have your full-time job, and you have money coming in. It's not like you're not making a good income.
Yeah, like I make,
We make good money.
Yeah.
But why don't you feel like you put enough aside to feel comfortable about your future or even your present?
Because I feel like, honestly, what is enough? Like right now with the way the economy is, like I don't really know what we think is enough. I don't know if that's really going to be enough in, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So in my mind, unless you have millions saved up, you don't have enough. So it's just
not that you're not doing what you need to do.
No,
It's just
I'm
that,
doing it.
It's just that because we work together, so I know you
Yeah.
put in the work.
Yeah.
But it's just that you don't know if it's going to be enough in the future.
Yeah.
When you do retire.
Yeah, and I don't want to be, 65, 70 talking about I need to go find a job because I won't.
So do you think that anxiety is keeping you honest and making you save a little bit more?
It does, but if there's a sale, I'm gonna hit that
Well,
sale.
at least you're planning though.
Yeah,
You
I
have the
do.
money. Say, okay, this is my spending money. This is my fund money. So it's a
Yeah.
difference between that and just spending.
But that's why I have a lot of jobs too, because I have one job that's my fun and vacation money, one job for savings. So yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. What was your money story growing up? How do you see your parents handle money? And did that contribute to how you handle money now?
Yeah, it does. My dad, he just spent money. He didn't really care. Like, he was a taxi driver, so he really wasn't that person that worked hourly or anything like that. So he, as a taxi driver, whatever money he got for the day, that's what he had. But he would spend his money, and he, I think, had a little bit of a gambling problem back then. So
Don't talk about your daddy now.
it's true. But no, I think that, I saw him like he just had fun and just spent money when he wanted to. My mother, she saved. She's like, nope, I got to save for a rainy day. I don't have that great balance like she, between the both of them, but I'm working on it.
You're working on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you decided to go with daddy.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that's transitioning to how did you get here? I mean, do you know your family migration story? How you got to Connecticut?
So I know that, so everyone, when they came off the plane back in, the 80s, they all went to JFK. They came through JFK. And you either went to Brooklyn, which they did. They stayed out in New York for a little bit. Yeah. But eventually there was a really big Haitian population in Stamford. And that's where I was born. Yes. So there was a lot of Haitians. Then they all came together and they built a community out there. So we settled in Stamford. And, that's where our story begins.
And then what happened?
Then we ended up moving to Bridgeport. And that's where I was raised. Went to school out there, met you in high school out there. And then eventually came up this way after meeting a man in college.
Let's talk about Bridgeport, because Bridgeport was a great melting pot.
It was a great melting pot.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, our school wasn't that big. Kobe Cathedral, Cougars.
Kobe Cathedral.
But the school, we had everybody.
Yeah. I got exposed to like different cultures. I never like Portuguese, Cape Verde. That was the first time I ever met like a Cape Verdean. I didn't even know what Cape Verdeans really were until high school, because there was a huge Cape Verdean community and Portuguese community in Bridgeport. But growing up though, it was like if you were black, you were either Jamaican or black. There was nothing else in between. And then when we got to high school, it was like, oh my gosh, like you don't have to just be black or Jamaican. You can be, Haitian or St. Lucian or whatever. So it was nice to see like the melting pot piece of it in high school.
And a lot of African were there as well. Yeah. So when did you say become proud of who you were? Because being a first generation, I feel like you lose a lot of that because I'm looking at my kids.
Yeah.
Like I came in when I was 10. Look at my kids. They really don't have that same
They don't have it.
emotional connection
Yeah.
to the culture. So how do their parents instill that emotional connection with you? to
Well,
your
let me
culture?
start off with when you said how like when did I become proud? First, growing up in like elementary, middle school, I was not, because that was in the 90s, right? And if you were Haitian in the 90s, you were a Haitian booty scratcher. You came over on a boat.
Yeah,
You know,
the banana boat.
yeah. So they made fun of you a lot for being Haitian. So honestly, there was a point where I was just like, no, I'm not Haitian. I'm just black, you know? And I know this sounds crazy, but I did.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and I did until again I got to high school, and then like I realized we had a community of like a group of Haitians, and you know everybody had their own little group in terms of like the cultural piece of it, and like you know people were just proud of who they were. So
Speaking like different languages down the hallway. Wasn't
at
that
lunchtime,
wonderful?
yeah,
know.
it was nice. So that's when I actually started to be proud of like who I was. But in terms of the kids, because my husband's not Haitian, it's really hard because he doesn't speak Creole. You know, we don't have anybody around us that really speaks the language, so they only hear me speak it when I'm mad. Or if I'm on the phone with my sister and we're trying to like you know not have a conversation that other people can understand, so we'll speak Creole in that way. Or if we end up now going to family's house or whatnot. But I did like put them in classes to learn how to speak Creole. Didn't last too long. Every time I speak Creole, they're like, "Why are you speaking Spanish?" You know, that's the only language that's out there.
Oh my! Does that
Yeah.
break your heart?
It did initially, but now I'm just like whatever, like whatever.
But what can we instill in them for them to love the culture of, or be familiar with it? Okay, we know food, we can pass down
Yeah.
food, right? I think that's the biggest thing, I think. Food.
Definitely.
The language we tend to lose over several generations.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing?
I get books. So there's a lot of books by different authors talking about Haiti and in some capacity, like children's books. So I've been doing a lot of that. But I really want to be able to take them down there, but it's always something, you know, it's always some
Yes.
type of political or some type of fighting going on. My dad is always down there. So he typically goes from like November to June, July. He's in
he's a
Haiti.
half and half.
Yeah. He only comes up here when it's warm. So, but he's like, I can go down there. You can't come down here type of thing. So I want to eventually be able to take them down there because I want them to see how beautiful Haiti is. It's just like any other Caribbean island. I want them to be in the culture. But it's hard up here too. There's not a huge Haitian community. If there is, I'm not like, you know, connected to them as much. But I would love to be able to connect with.
I know in Bridgeport, we're well connected.
Oh yeah. They're all over the place.
I know.
Yes.
Everybody, and the circle is so small. Let's talk about how small the circle is in our community, right?
Yeah.
You think it's a big population, but everybody know your business?
Everybody. Everybody, because they used to call everybody and tell their business. Yeah.
Like, did parents do that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, when you do something at school, can you believe what did they do to you?
They did the same thing. So if we ever did anything, it was like, you know, there was a chain of calls that would happen. So all the aunts would get calls, right? They would know. And then after that, they'd be at the house like, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? Then they would call the aunts in Brooklyn, right? And then they would call the aunts in Florida. So everybody eventually knew. And then they're calling you like, why would you treat your mother like that? Why would you do this to your father? Type
These
of thing.
ungrateful generation.
Yeah, but then I think back, I was like, I was not that bad of a kid. If you think about it, I was really good. And you guys should have been grateful for me being that good of a kid.
But they keep us in line, though.
No, they
I think
did.
They teach us respect, especially for the elders, which
Yeah.
I see is very lacking sometimes.
Nowadays,
I mean, we don't even
absolutely.
Look at our elders cross-eyed, you
Yeah.
know, like gonna lose those eyeballs. So
Yeah.
Okay, so growing up, what pressures did you feel from your family? And what were of the expectations of you? Like, what kind of pressure did you feel, if any?
There was a lot of expectations. Failure is not an option.
Yeah.
And, you know, you keep, which is why I'm the way I am now, you keep pushing through regardless of whatever is going on, right? Because if they can, they've always said that if I can come all the way from Haiti and I came here and I did this and I did that and you were born in this country, you need to make something of yourself,
Yes.
right? So that's always the speech that we got.
Yes.
So, and again, it sounds like you've gotten the
I
same.
got the same speech.
Yeah, and most Caribbean people or most like immigrant families probably gave the same speech. It's like, I didn't come all the way over here for you to come over here and mess up.
Yes.
Do something
Yes.
with yourself.
Yeah, do something. It's
Yeah.
expected of you. You know, we left family behind, we left home behind, we left
Yeah.
security behind.
Yeah.
Are you gonna come here and do nothing with it? You better have lost your mind.
Exactly.
So okay, so we talk about the Haitian culture and how you're gonna try to pass it down. Do you cook?
Oh yeah, I do cook.
You still cook?
I'm a really good cook too.
That's one of the jobs. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I still
You could
do.
almost be a Jamaican. You know,
Yeah.
That's a running joke. How many jobs do you have? I'm
Like
Jamaican.
15.
How many jobs?
Yep. Yes.
Let's talk about Hope Through Healing because I'm so excited. And I was there at the grand opening.
Yes, you were.
Woo! I felt like I was winning. I was so proud. I was like, yes, I am.
Oh, thank you, P.
So Hope Through Healing Wellness Center comes about. Why did you choose mental health as your focus?
Because working in healthcare, I was a nurse in the hospital. I worked in med surg, I worked in ICU, and I worked in outpatient. I worked in almost every setting, right? And I realized that even though people have like major health issues going on, the mental health piece was always underlying. Like, why aren't you taking your medication? Why are you not taking care of your diabetes? It wasn't just because they didn't want to. There might have been a financial component, but there was always some type of mental health component, whether it was stress, something else that was contributing to it. So I said I wanted to address or deal with the root of the problem and not just deal with the side effects or the symptoms. So that's why I went after mental health.
Do you feel like our community, meaning the immigrant community, the Black minority community, is really taking this thing seriously? Because, I remember growing up and, a family member was going through some stuff. I was like, why do you go to therapy?
Yeah.
It was like blasphemous. Like,
Yeah, therapy.
Therapy? What are you talking about? She's not crazy. And I'm like, and that's always the image I have in my head.
Yeah.
So when I grew up, I said, oh, you know what? There's a lot of trauma we need to unpack and we need to see counseling and therapy. What's wrong with you? Just go to Jesus. So let's talk about that, okay?
Yeah.
Because we love Jesus.
We do.
He's our
Jesus is
daddy,
the homie, yeah.
Well, let's talk about why we do need to get that help.
Because everything can, and this is, I don't want anyone to come at me, but everything can't be fixed with just prayer. Like, God, Jesus gave us resources like mental health providers to be able to help you, or clinicians to be able to help you. So use the resources that God gave you, right? So if we're solely relying on prayer, like, I don't think that is the best thing, because I've seen some people who are really, really struggling. I'm talking about they're psychotic, they're roaming the streets just, ready to kill somebody type of thing. And families are just like, no, we just need to bring him to church and have the church pray for him. And I'm like, that's wonderful, but he needs to be in somebody's hospital right now and needs to be on some medications to kind of bring him back down to baseline, right? And I think the good thing with me is because I am very balanced in the medical piece and the spiritual piece of it. I feel like more clients end up listening when I talk to them, because if it's coming from someone who doesn't have that balance, they're just like, no, I'm just gonna stick with Jesus, thank you. Versus me, who's like, yes, you can do that, but you can also do this too.
I think the relationship is a combination. We can join yin and yang. And I think one of the reasons too, I think they can probably relate to, because you are strong in your faith.
Yeah.
You're raised up in a community. You're an immigrant, and we know how strong our immigrant population is with their faith.
Absolutely.
So they say they can see that with you. So okay, then they can ask you questions that is not relatable.
And it takes them a while to kind of break through, because they're just like, can I trust her? Can I say what I need to say to her? Or is she gonna call the hospital?
This is a big issue in our community.
Oh, it's huge. So I've seen it, because I always try to tell them, I'm not here to push medications on you, because as a prescriber, they automatically think you're gonna put me on medications, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not here to just automatically put you on meds. I'm really here to have a conversation with you. We all need some meds, okay? We all need something. No, but I tell them, I'm not gonna push meds on you. I'm just here to, if you have questions about medications, ask me. Don't go to Google, because it's gonna take you down that rabbit hole. You can get some, surface level information from there, but don't rely on just Google, or your best friend's uncle's sister was on this medication. Exactly. Yeah. So it's important that I be there, even if I'm not prescribing medications for them, just as a resource.
Okay, I like that. What unique needs do you see in the Black or immigrant communities that, when it comes to mental health, what unique things you see that, besides us not addressing it, or us just going to church and think, that will take care of it? And trust me, I've seen a lot of healing in church. Some things
I've seen it. Okay.
I'm like, yes, Papa Jesus.
Yes.
But what other things you think are unique challenges that we face?
I feel like we don't listen to our kids enough, and the kids are struggling. The amount of kids that I have that as patients who are suicidal, who've attempted suicide, bullying in school, kind of leading to the point where they can't even go to school because their anxiety is so bad. And parents are just like, no, you're going to school. And no, if they go to school, we might have a situation like school shooter type of situation, or somebody's going to hurt themselves. And I don't think we're listening to our kids enough. And the social, emotional piece of it, in terms of the kid, is not there.
I see that's a big push in school now, the social emotional learning.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
SEL.
SEL. I like that.
I like it too, but I also feel like we're not, even with the kids' school, right? I'm asking them, what kind of services do we have, mental health services? Because ideally, it would be nice to have a provider in the school, because parents struggle with finding pediatric providers, right? And on top of that, during the school day, you're either gonna have to pull your kid out early, or go before school starts to go to a provider for med services or a clinician. If we have that in a school setting, and we can get some of that stuff done at the point of care, which is right there in school, it can help a lot. And I don't think that is happening enough.
But you think it's a good start, though?
It's a good start.
It's a good
we could
start.
do better.
And how do they do that? By talking to
How can we get providers so you can talk to different agencies, and I don't know in terms of the school systems how like what how they do things, but they can talk to different facilities and different community service agencies and just say, hey, we'd like to have a provider set base at our school, and they do that, and they're like, we have school-based healthcare centers through some of the places like Community Health Center, so they do different schools where you could rotate through, but I don't see that
I
enough.
like that though, listening to your kids, because what's one thing when we come to our kids, and I find myself saying it to them, like, I gotta stop myself, because they come to me and be like, boy, you don't have a job. You gotta, right?
Yeah, like, because I said so.
Because I said so.
Yeah.
We have to be proud about, are you working?
Yeah.
Are you paying bills?
Why are you depressed? You got a reason to be
Get
depressed.
yourself together,
Yeah.
So I think we have to be so mindful of that, to not be dismissive, because if we do that, then they put them back in the shelf for them to come to you in the first place. I think it takes a lot of strength.
It does.
Take
It
a lot of
does.
strength.
But I also think we need to have balance with that too, because then there's some parents who do, that soft parenting style, and the kids are like walking all over them. So you have to have a balance.
That one.
I don't understand it either.
I'm loving. Trust me, I'm a safe haven. Whenever kids are sick, they come to me.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But I feel like your kids have to, in some ways, have some fear in you as a parent. Like they can't just say or do anything to you.
I'll give you a look and be like,
Yeah.
you gotta come up.
Because I've had parents who are just like, well, Timmy, he fought me last night because I took the game away from him. Like, he fought who? Who did he fight? Yeah.
You're not abusive parents.
No, but you're not fighting me for a video game. But that's how it is. Like they're so aggressive with things like social media and video games and stuff like that. So I think some of our parenting styles may have led to that.
Yeah. See, my kids don't have TV till the weekend, so
Yeah.
and even then it's limited. All right. So I like that. That's I think that's it. No. I love having you here, and I was especially interested in the mental health piece, because I feel like it's something that we don't deal with a lot. And I'm so excited. So what's your next move for your business, and where can they find you?
My next move is surviving to the next day. No, I don't know. I don't know what my next move is. I really think that I really want to do a lot more focus on the pediatrics. It's draining, but I think that's where I want to go in terms of direction. So I'm just waiting to hear what God needs to tell me, if that's the direction He wants me to go into.
Praying about it? Fasted and praying about it? Not fasting. You need to fast too. So you need to submit yourself. Fasting and prayer.
Oh my goodness. By 10 o'clock, I'm just like, I'm so hungry.
I know. When I was younger, I was still fasting. I was supposed to say 2 hours. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, I'll do a Daniel's fast or something.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm doing a training to fast, but now I can fast like half a day.
Yeah.
And I did one day.
I need to work on that.
I'm like, but I haven't fasted in a while. But you need to submit yourself to God. You know that.
Yeah. So I know I need to do that piece of it. But yeah, I'm working on it, trying to figure out what my next steps are. I don't know.
So what's one saying or proverbs that your family use to help keep you in line, or to just give you wisdom? You can say it in Creole and then translate to English.
It doesn't translate well in English most of the time.
It's okay.
Okay. One of them I remember is like, it's, how you say it? La pluie pas tomber un seul côté, which means rain doesn't fall in one place. So the way I translated it in my head is basically like other people are experiencing things that you're also experiencing. Like you're not the only person that's kind of dealing with it. So don't feel like you need to be alone in whatever that you're dealing with. That's how I translate it in my head.
That's good. You know why?
Yeah.
Because we keep so much stuff to ourselves.
We do.
As immigrant population. I know about other population. I can only talk about us.
Yeah.
But we keep so much stuff to ourselves, and I feel like we harm ourselves. It could be further along if we just share and talk to each other in a community.
Yeah.
Because somebody has been through it.
Somebody.
And I see a lot of people coming through.
Secret. Everything is just secret.
I don't know where that come from, but it is littlest thing. They don't tell you about it.
They don't.
For example, a church sister of mine was just hospitalized, she had a stroke, and no one knew.
Yeah, but like why? Why? Yeah,
You
people
know?
could have prayed for you.
Yeah.
We could have bought you dinner, something.
I know. Like the church would have showed up for you.
Yeah.
Because you've been in the church for such a long time. Everybody knows you. It's such a giving, mother of the church.
Yeah.
We just like everybody's like, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And then finally, her daughter called us
Mm-hmm.
and called pastor and said, "Oh, she had a stroke and she's in a recovery center. She cannot speak."
But imagine
cannot
if they
nothing."
would have said something, right? And let's just say no one in her family was healthcare
Yeah.
background, but somebody in the church had a healthcare background.
You know what we do? So all of us are in
Exactly.
healthcare, yeah.
So somebody could have been her advocate in the
Yes.
hospital if she would have spoken up,
Yes.
you know? So,
Exactly.
you know, going into the hospital and not having someone advocate for you, that's
Especially
no-no.
when they don't understand your culture, especially
Yeah.
when they don't understand you and why you might say no by just seeing you being aggressive or turn the medication down.
Exactly.
And if you have somebody from your culture, you can be like, no, that's just the culture, so we got to educate her.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, so I'm happy you said that.
Yeah.
Stop keeping secrets. Share. Obviously, it
Share.
can be personal business, but there's a certain limit. But come on, people, share and let's get her. Let's get the help that we need and the support
Absolutely.
that we need, because we don't have to do it alone.
No, we don't.
So I like that. So remember, I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you,
This
P.
is my girl, Sabine. Not KO anymore, KO Sailor.
You're sailor girl.
Husband is great. I love him.
Thank you.
And he has his own business too, so I might have him on.
Yes.
But until next time, remember, keep your money irate.
I'm not going to even try to do that. Because I won't sound like that.